and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, then welcome to my channel. A while ago on Instagram, I asked you guys to send in your assumptions about medical assistants so I could do a video all about it and debunk the assumptions that a lot of people have towards medical assistants. I had a ton of you guys send in some really good assumptions. I went through every single one of them and picked the top 10 most frequently mentioned ones to share with you in today's video. If you guys have assumptions about medical assistants, leave them down below and I will either answer them in the comment section, or if I get enough, I will do a part 2 to this video. And if you guys see me looking down, it is simply because I am just looking at my notes as a reference. And without further ado, let's get started. The first assumption, which was the assumption that a ton of you guys sent in, is that medical assistants are CNAs or nurses. And no, that is not the case whatsoever. Medical assistants have an entirely different scope of practice than a CNA or a nurse has. And something that may actually surprise you guys is that there are certain things medical assistants can do that are not within the scope of practice of a CNA or nurse. And the assumption that medical assistants are CNAs and nurses is literally one of my biggest pet peeves ever. Before learning all about medical assistants, I too was one of those people who assumed that the person doing my vitals or giving me an injection was simply a nurse, but that is entirely not the case. More often than not, the person doing your vitals and injections and everything like that is a medical assistant. I think a lot of people assume we are nurses because we do share some of the same duties, and a lot of the times when you're going to the doctor's office, you're not paying attention to the badge of whoever is doing your vitals or anything, so you're not going to know if they're a medical assistant or not unless you are specifically looking at their badge, or if they say, "Hi, my name is blah 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 and I'm going to be your medical assistant today," which, fun fact, is something I do when I grab a patient from the waiting room. That way they know you are a medical assistant and not a nurse. The second assumption was that medical assistants don't have to go to school and all they have to do is be trained on site at their job to do their job, and that is 150% incorrect. In order to become a medical assistant, you do have to go to school. You do not have to earn a degree to become a medical assistant. However, you must earn a certificate, and that is done through school. Most programs are between 6 and 18 months long, depending on what you are doing and whether you're getting a degree in it or just a certificate. I personally have my associate's degree in medical assisting, and in total it only took me about a year, but that is because I already had a degree in health science, which meant that all the prerequisites overlapped with each other. So for me to complete the actual program from clinicals to my externship, it took me a year, but that is not the route that you have to go down. I know that personally I would rather have a degree in medical assisting than just a certificate, because an employer is more apt to hire you having that degree along with a credential, which I have a ton of videos on becoming a credentialed medical assistant too. I'm not going to touch too much on it in this video, but I will leave a playlist down below. But if an employer sees on your resume that you do have that associate's degree in medical assisting, they may look at that as you being a better candidate for the job than someone who simply just has a certificate. Now, I'm not trying to say that having your certificate in medical assisting makes you any less of a medical assistant, because it 100% does not. Let me say that again. Having your certificate does not make you any less of a medical assistant than if you were to have an associate's degree. The third assumption is that medical assistants do tasks and errands around the hospital or office that doctors do not want to do. And I know that with my personal experience, medical assistants do a lot to help the providers. However, we're not doing things for the providers because the providers don't want to do it. We are doing it because it is within our scope of practice, and sometimes it may just come down to us needing to do it rather than the provider, because the provider may have run out of time and needs to go see another patient. And if it's a task within our scope of practice, it is something that the provider is going to want us to do to save them time. As medical assistants, we also do a lot of patient calling, and a lot of people see that as we are doing it for the provider because the provider doesn't want to do it. And 9 times out of 10, it's simply because the provider does not have the time to do it. Assumption 4 is that medical assistants get paid minimum wage, and that is actually not the case. Medical assistants make anywhere from $15 an hour up to $25 an hour. It all varies. Pay is different everywhere everywhere. However, I do not think that there is a single place where medical assistants make minimum wage. I may be wrong about that. If I am, definitely let me know in the comments. Assumption number 5 is that medical assistants sit at a desk and work on a computer all day, and that is the case for some medical assistants, especially if you have more of an administrative role. But for medical assistants who are not specifically designated as having an admin role, are doing clinical tasks, yes, we do a lot of work on the computer. We do things such as enter vitals, enter the patient's reason for being there at the visit, anything a patient thinks the provider needs to know, and stuff like that. But for the most part, medical assistants are more clinically task-based and are hands-on. Assumption number 6 is that medical assistants check patients in for their office visits, and while this may be something commonly done by medical assistants in some practices, especially smaller ones, I know that around here, checking patients in is up to a PSR or patient service representative. It may be called something else wherever you live or work, but I know that around here, PSRs are the ones who check the patient in when they first arrive to the office by asking them their name, their date of birth, who they're seeing for a provider, and ask for their insurance card if it is needed to be scanned into the computer and stuff like that. But for the most part, medical assistants are not the ones checking patients in. There may be times where PSRs are off and the office needs someone to check patients in, which in that case, it may be up to a medical assistant. Or if you're in a really small practice where there aren't PSRs or anything, a lot of the times it will be up to an office manager or medical assistant. I personally have never had to check a single patient in. I am simply the person that goes and gets the patient once they have been checked in. The 7th assumption is that all medical assistants can do is take a patient's vitals, which let me tell you, that's what I thought at first too, until I actually started school and realized how many things are within the scope of practice of a medical assistant. Taking vitals is a daily thing we do for every single patient that is under our care. However, we do way more than that. We give injections, we can do point of care testing, we can do phlebotomy, urinalysis testing, drug testing, and so much more. The list goes on and on of the scope of practice of a medical assistant. So no, it is not just simply taking a patient's vitals. Yes, that is something we do with each patient. However, it is not the only thing we do with each patient. Assumption number 8 is that medical assistants don't have a lot to do throughout the day and the job gets boring. I know that for me, this is definitely not a thing. If anything, I don't have enough time to do what I need to do. There may be days where there aren't a lot of patients and it's just a pretty chill day. However, even on those days, medical assistants find things to do. Medical assistants are in charge of restocking all the rooms, going through and making sure everything is there. There are a variety of admin tasks such as calling patients about their labs that have come in, also doing refill requests for medication and stuff like that. And yes, some days can be kind of slow and not be filled with a ton of patients, but 9 times out of 10, the medical assistant is going to have a lot of other things that they can use that time for to do. Assumption number 9 is that medical assistants don't get to form relationships with their patients like a provider can. And usually that is not the case. Obviously, in a urgent care setting, you may not form relationships with these patients. It may be a thing where you see that patient once and you don't ever see them again. However, when you're working in a specialty office, and especially when you are working in a family practice or primary medicine, you're gonna form some sort of a relationship with that patient. You may see them frequently, and over time, you really get to know the patient, and when they come in, they tell you about their kids or what they've been doing and stuff like that. And honestly, that's really one of my absolute favorite things about being a medical assistant. During my externship, there were some patients that I saw like every week or every other week and who got to know me and I got to know them. And that was just over the course of 160 hours. So imagine being at a office for a long period of time, and especially with something like pediatrics, getting to see this child grow from a young age to being a teenager or an adult and stuff like that. It's really cool, and you actually do form great bonds. And the 10th and last assumption is that all medical assistants want to go back to school to receive their degree in nursing. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you know this is a big hard no, especially from me. There are medical assistants out there who are perfectly satisfied with being a medical assistant and not going any further with their education. And then there are medical assistants who do have plans to go on and receive their degree in nursing. I know that a lot of times medical assistants do become medical assistants to see what being in the medical field is like if they don't want to be a CNA but want to go to school for nursing. I personally think there is a 50-50 split between those who want to go back to school for nursing and those who are perfectly satisfied with being just a medical assistant. As of this moment and right now and in the future, for me, I just plan on being a medical assistant. I tried going down the nursing route and I didn't enjoy it. However, being a medical assistant is something I really do enjoy. So those were the top 10 most commonly sent in assumptions about medical assistants. I personally think that medical assistants should get more recognition than they actually get because we work hard. We are a vital part of the healthcare setting. There are so many different things we can do, and it is not a profession that is talked about a lot that should be. I literally had no idea what a medical assistant was until probably 3.5 years into my college journey when I was switching around all my majors. I literally had never heard of it before, which is crazy, and most of that's because not a lot of people are observant and pay attention to your badge when they go to the doctors, so everyone pretty much assumes that the person that is doing your vitals and doing your injections and stuff like that is just simply a nurse, and 99% of the time that is not the case. If you guys like this video and would like to see another one, definitely let me know in the comments down below. While you guys are down there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I upload new content frequently and would love it if you'd become part of our little family. Also be sure to hit the bell so that you are in fact notified every time I do upload a new video. I hope you guys like this video and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!